Welcome to Make a Path Presents. I'm Ronnie Hayes, and if you guys don't mind, I want to chit-chat about comics. First, I want to do a little update about my comic Doomsday Kingdom, and then, and I do have to say I am sorry because I do want to do more updates, but then in the same strength, I kind of feel like they don't want you flooding their feed with you just sit down, shut up. Take a week, polish up a video, and post it. So right now, I'm kind of still stuck in that YouTube purgatory where I feel like I don't want to dump videos on you, but at the same time, people are like saying, just do that. Just give us something instead of, So anyway, we're going to test this out. If you like these kind of videos, maybe you're going to finally see more of them. I know I keep flirting with the idea of doing this more and more, but there's something about me. I love the polished videos, so I really want to get back to that, but I think in the future we're going to have a mix between, polished and raw. Who doesn't like it raw? Okay, clean it up. Anyway, so Doomsday Kingdom. I was just putting a few orders through the system. Actually, let me show you that. Right here we have orders that are going to go out in the morning. There's like 20 orders there or so, 20, 25, maybe a little more. Anyway, this should be the last stack of orders of issue 2 and issue 1, other than the 55 people who have their orders on hold. This should be the last stack, but it's not, because we had a box full of about 40 comics signed. We spent $66.50 to send 40 comics to the UK, have the artist sign it, and then we spent another $70 shipping it from the UK. Or maybe that's reversed, because I know it's cheaper to ship from the UK to the US for some weird reason. Anyway, over $120 down the drain because the postman delivered it and it was crushed. I mean, it was destroyed. And we can't sell these. We can't even sell these for like $4 because it looks horrible. I mean, who wants to buy that? Completely crushed. So we have a whole stack here of issue 2, double signed, me and the artist, that are crushed. So the remaining 30 people, I think, who are waiting for your order, chances are it's in here. And I sent, the day I got this and it was crushed, the very next day, I sent a box full of replacement comics. Now, we had the comic. It wasn't about replacing the comics. That's fine. It's about the shipping cost. Talk about ouch. Anyway, so if you have a signed issue, signature series or both of us signed, there was a few in here that made it, that didn't get crushed. But for the most part, there's 30 or so people that do, and your order is not on hold, then chances are you'll get it as soon as I get the box back from the UK. If you don't know what a signature series is, it's this comic with the artist's signature, and then my signature would go on it. And then you get the Best Buddies trading card with both our signatures, the book plate, which is an exclusive image that's found only on the inside. There's a little teaser, but you can't buy this image anywhere else. It's not in a poster. It's not in anything else except for the signature series. And then we threw in a little trading card there, and then the backs of the trading cards are signed. So a neat little thing, but like I said, we're on the last 30 or so orders, and then you guys should get them. Anyway, there's a bunch of other things. I do want to talk about the process. I'm going to save that for a video for another day. It's a video for another day, but I do want to go over, look at that weird shit in my closet. I do want to go over another video because there's some stuff I want to discuss that has delayed the process that might help other people, and it's some changes we're making in the future. But some of it, I want to be careful about my wording because it might seem like I'm blaming some customers, but I'm really not. But there are just some things that need to be ironed out on both sides, and I'm going to get to that. Anyway, I should explain this before anyone says anything. Like, wait, what's that? Well, what does that mean? These are examples, the samples of the signature series artwork for number 1, and then the signature series for number 2, the actual book plates unsigned. Anyway, and then we have the sticker for map I just hung up, and then the trading card for signature series number 1 that you get signed. And then that's $10, very first cash sale from our comic books. My grandfather, he was interested in the comics and he gave me a $10 bill. It's like a tradition thing. You get paid, you hang it up on your business or whatever. So anyhow, And I should say, before we move over to talking about comics, I should mention for anyone new here, we will be doing a restock really soon now, another restock. We've been trying to keep a track of the stock we have. We have some, don't look at these are damaged misprints and stuff like that, but we have issue 1s, we have the day and night variant of issue 1, and then issue 2 second prints, and then we have some issue 2s right here that I'm finishing the other orders with when they come in. Because, you know, people have unsigned going with their signature series, so that's why we have, and then some backup. Anyway, and then the last of issue 1, if you are interested, we have the signature series for issue 1 with the see-through back. This one is extra special because it has that see-through backboard, so you can see the full image. Anyway, we're down to our last, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 7 in here, and then I got 20 over, where is that other, oh, it's in the comic box over there. So I got about 27, and that's it. Once they sell out, that is completely it. There's no more backups. And then I got some backups there too for something else for Doomsday Kingdom. But anyway, let's see. We haven't discussed what I've been reading comic book wise lately, and I do believe once Hollywood gets over this, not Hollywood, the comic book industry, once it gets over this bullshit dive, this nosedive, this tragic, uncreative nosedive that it's in, the comic book industry could actually bounce back by not focusing only on the supernatural, the superheroes, creepy shit. Like one day, I feel like it could be possible for comics to make a comeback and just tell good stories. It will be like novels for the future. People look at comics and novels differently. When you think of comics, you think of nerds with, you know, superhero shirts and shit. You know what I'm saying? Come on, tell me you don't. In the future, I feel like there's a potential for people to make comic books that are just good stories. And anyway, let's start with this, Die, Die, Die. I got excited when I heard Scott Gimple wrote this with Robert Kirkman. Now, there's parts of it, it's kind of like silly. It reminds me of an Evil Dead action story, you know? An Evil Dead meets James Bond. That's what it reminded me of when I was reading this. A little bit silly, like he puts the gun in the guy's throat and then kicks it and it like jams through his neck. Something real weird like that. So parts of it I like, but the story left me going, I don't know if I like that at all, you know? I don't know, the way they structured it, but I do feel like I liked it enough where I'm going to give issue 2 and 3 a try, and we'll see. Maybe it was just the story structure. It didn't quite grab me. Next up, we got Paper Girls. This is something I'm going to be taking off my pull list. It started out as a recommendation, something that's like Stranger Things, and it kind of was. It took place in the 80s, and then it just kind of went downhill. And it's not the story. It's not like... it's weird. It is the story, but it's not like the initial group. There's like 4 or 5 girls that are paper girls. They deliver newspapers. Their interactions and them themselves as characters, that's the only thing keeping me into the book. It's how weird the world's getting. Now it's got this timeline where they're traveling through time, and it's just getting so weird and silly. I can't even keep up with it anymore. But I don't know, maybe that's just me. I do feel like there's a chance it could rebound and explain some things to make it make sense somewhat. But for the most part, like I'm watching Stranger Things and everything makes sense, you know, unless there's mysteries or secrets. But with this, I'm just like, what? I don't know. Anyhow. Yeah, so it started out real promising. I actually like that cover. It had started out real promising, and now it's kind of like it went downhill a little for me. Next up, one of my favorites. Again, I don't mean to be negative, but one of my favorites. Issues 1 to 5 were incredible, especially with the bomb they dropped in issue like 4 or 5. However, recently more so... Wait, I want to show off the covers, but I also want to show you the most recent issue that I read, because recently it feels like the same, I don't know, the same unpredictable, like, oomph that they had early on is kind of lost, because then we get to this newest issue and I'm like, oh my god, they're finally going to kill another huge character in the story, because they did that early on, and it was one of the most memorable comic book deaths for me, in my opinion, and it made me fall in love with the story in the first 5 issues. And they kind of lose it because the guy just gets up and walks away. It's like, yeah, we can't, you're too big of a name, too big of a character, we can't kill you just yet. And it's not just like the character's death, it's the whole story and situation around it. It 100% felt like he should have died. No way around it, but again, something happens where it's like, oh, nope. They Daryl Dixoned his ass out of a bad situation. Anyway, Outcast is a possession story. I'm not a fan of possessions. I don't believe in spirits or, demons and stuff like that. So none of this ghosts, I love the concept. I think it's neat, but it's hard to get afraid of something it's just, I don't know. It's weird. It's like, there's no way any of that could happen. Like with a zombie, at least you understand how freaky it would be, to be eaten alive. Like that could happen. Someone could snort too many bath salts and eat your face off. That could happen. But with, possessions, it's just not scary. Not for me anyway. If you believe it, maybe it could be. However, this story was kind of like, okay, it's a possession story, but there's something else hidden underneath there that is really intriguing. And that intriguing aspect really had me connected to it for, 35 issues? Nope. 36 issues, and I'm at the point where around issue 30 or 28, I was like, okay, this is finally heading into another direction where I'm gonna really enjoy this. This is going somewhere. We're going places now. And then it kind of lingers around a little bit, but now we're finally at a place again where I feel like, okay, this could go in a really good direction again. I think it's part of the mystery aspect of what is the black, or the black goo. I don't want to give away too much if you haven't read it yet and you want to get into the story, but yeah, the mystery aspect of what is kind of wearing me down a little. Oblivion Song by Robert Kirkman. Outcast was done by Robert Kirkman too, but I love this cover. For an issue 1 cover, something about this, I really like this. The story here, I read all at once. I read the first volume. It was a preview that my comic shop had. And I was interested in it mainly because of the end of issue 6, I think it is. Because it opens up a whole new door of possibilities. And I was thinking, wow, that must be the reason why they showed off the first volume. Because the first 4, I want to say 4 or 5 issues, it kind of has that feel like, all right, this isn't anything special. It's interesting. The idea is interesting. What happens is there's this dimension that appears in the middle of like Philly, and a lot of people get lost in that dimension and they block it off, and the world goes on as it is. But this guy goes into the dimension and he pulls people out of it. He rescues people from another dimension in like the middle of Philly. So it's got like this interesting aspect to it. This, the world goes on as it is, but there's this, post-apocalyptic feel to it. However, like I said, if it wasn't for that final ending where it opened up a whole new door of possibilities, I don't know if I would have really clinged on to it. So we'll have to see after that issue comes out. And I think it did. I just didn't pick it up yet. Issue 6 or 7, it should really, I should really know. 6, 7, 8, or 9, around there, depending on how fast the story unfolds. Redneck is a zombie story that I picked up issue 1 and I was like, all right, I don't know about the characters, but because they weren't, they didn't jump off the page as extremely interesting, but there's definitely some potential there. And then issue 2 and issue 3 and 4, I got more into it, just not enough to keep going. I actually simply forgot about it. And I haven't picked up an issue since 5, and I think they're on like 10 now or something. So a few months went by, and I just honestly forgot to keep picking it up. And it's a story that I feel like I want to go back to check it out, but there's nothing like urging me, you know, or it's not like I have to, you know, see how the story unfolds. Anyway, Gasolina is another one that I love. This cover too. Another one that has my interest, but I'm just one book or two books away from losing interest. It's people who are working a field down south, and I guess they are not down south, but down in Mexico, I believe, and there's some drug cartel that is using bugs or something. I don't think we know what it is yet, but I guess that was how they kind of hinted at what could be going on, because there's some weird shit going on with bugs. That cover is supposed to look like the Negan cover, if you're a Walking Dead fan and you notice that. So Gasolina, I definitely give it a recommend, but if you're not into it by the first 3 issues, it's probably not going to be something you're into, because I can already tell by the first 3 issues it was, it might turn into it. I could take it or leave it, but I still want to keep an eye on the story and see what direction it goes. I just picked this up because I really love that cover of The Walking Dead. This was made in the vein of The Walking Dead, and it was some weird story on the inside where she goes around and kills like Image Comics, you know, characters and stuff like that. I think she runs into Rick Grimes and stuff, but I never got around to reading it. But I was doing something at the comic shop and I saw it, and I just decided to pick it up. I was also reading this one too that had my interest at first, but around issue 6 or 7 I lost interest in it. But I did pick this up because it has the Walking Dead cover, and I really like how this came out. That looks really cool. We got Slots is another one that is made out of an issue of the Walking Dead variant cover, where it's made to look like it. It's one of the Negan covers. Instead of him, you'd have Negan on there. And this was a story I also found interesting. This is issue number 1. I thought it was really interesting with issue number 1 and 2. And I would have kept going with it. And again, this is a normal story so far. It's just a guy who seems like, I don't even know how to say it. He just gambles and, you know, does blowing hookers or something. But he's got a long-lost kid in Vegas. And you can tell they're building up this. They're doing some world building with the shady characters there. I just never got sucked into the world to pick up the stories. And again, this is, a few of them are weird ones where I do want to see where it goes, but it's not a priority, you know what I mean? Anyway, we have The Walking Dead here. You guys know my thoughts on these. I am reading this. This is a comic I'm interested in for the long haul. I do have to read the newest issue, and I'm going to try to get that review up for you guys tomorrow. But we have issue 176 here, and then we got the variant for 176. We got issue 177. And then the variant for 177. You guys let me know if you go to your comic book shops, if you see any of these variants, because I went to check for somebody who was looking for them, and I didn't see many at all at my comic shop. I saw like 1 or 2. Maybe they have them in another place, but or another spot in the store. But I only saw like the most recent issue. Here's 178. I really like that Andrea one. Here's 179's cover. We got the Carl. That's one I don't like. Kind of looks like a girl there, to be honest. What else we have here? We got the 180 with Rick on it. It's another cool cover. Here's an Alpha one that's actually pretty neat. And they're coming out with an Ezekiel one that I like. I got 2 Alphas. And here's 181. Was that 181? Oh, I only had 181, and then, what is this? The Glenn variant cover. So, yeah, that's it for what I got now. And, all right, sorry, I had to get these set back up. I didn't want them getting all bent up and stuff. But, yeah, that's about it. That's all I'm reading right about now. I wish there was something, let me look. I wish there was something that really jumped out at me as, like, this is, you know, I feel like I'm missing it, and when I get off camera, I'll know, or I'll remember that book. Comics are weird for the most part. There's those stories that, man, they really grab you, but the way they release, and it's not always the comic's fault. It's almost impossible to release only one little sliver of story a month and not let, you know, a few months go by where you're like, where you leave the reader going, you know, it's kind of losing me here. It's almost impossible. You can keep the story interesting, you can develop the characters, and you can hook the reader, but it's almost impossible to have them every single month being like, whew, this is on fire. You need those cooldown periods. Unfortunately, with some of these titles, the cooldown periods seem a little too early on. Like, there's a handful where I'm interested, but I'm one bad book away from being gone and uninterested. There's so many stories like that, and there's nothing that really like has its hooks in deep, and it's like, geez, this is, you know, I don't know, it's weird to explain, but you guys leave your thoughts and opinions down below. What do you think of these titles? What are you reading currently, and what comics am I missing that are just simply downright amazing stories that I really need to go pick up? I would love to hear your thoughts on that. All right, guys. Love you guys. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.